Friends, Pastor Michael from Organic Church here with Sydney Erickson, Pastor Holly Daisy, Nick Offolter, and Pastor Roger Deerdorf. We are in the new podcast studio this evening.
How did this happen? We're that big now.
We're
Huh?
bougie.
Yeah, we are.
Studio.
When you hit 21 episodes, Nick, you go big.
We're not that far.
Yes, we are.
No,
21
we are
episodes. Yep.
Yeah.
21 episodes. Now, technically, there is one that's recorded that they haven't heard yet. So it's
Yeah.
really only 20 released, but we are recording today, episode 21.
Okay.
So
See, it's just like growing up when you get 21.
big stuff. Big stuff. Yeah.
Go to the big kids pool.
I'm excited about this because, and maybe people can hear it when they're listening, but you can't hear the echo whenever you're listening. So it's kind of cool to be able to.
Maybe we'll post pictures on Facebook.
Yeah, I wish we would have done some befores. They could have seen
Yeah.
our banana yellow room. Well, I'm excited. Tonight we are going to talk about blessings. Now, not specifically, like there's no agenda here. So, like, I want to talk about some blessings that I've experienced just recently and then in the past, and then obviously give everybody the opportunity to share. I'm going to let you guys kick it off because I'm going to hop over here and listen and see if this is actually working because we have no idea.
Well, I actually had a blessing this morning.
Okay.
I always stop and get a cup of coffee in the mornings at the gas station. And I'm standing there waiting in line, like I always do. And they were busy. And a gentleman in front of me says, "Is that all you're getting?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'll buy your coffee."
Aw.
So that was a blessing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times Dave and Remy go to Circle K, and they get blessed with Puller Pops all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like
they're pretty free with their
Really?
Polar Pops.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard if you go in the middle of the night, like there's some people I know that work graveyard shifts. So they'll go in the middle of the night, and the one guy working there is like, just go on. And he's like,
Is that
"You're
all
not
you
even gonna ring
got?
it up?"
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
well, now that he's lost his job,
Yep.
Sorry.
Not saying any names.
I just ratted him out. Oh boy.
Remy's always so cute because one time I wanted to do something for him, and Dave said, "I don't think that's a good idea." And I says, "Dave, I'm going to bless Remy." And he's like, "Papa, she's going to bless Remy."
Can't stop the blessing.
Well, I was gonna say I don't remember what the situation was, but I had gotten a flat tire one time, and it was pretty consistent when I was helping drive Amish girls back and forth to work and whatnot. 'Cause horseshoe nails.
I was gonna say those
constantly.
roads too.
Constantly. And I don't remember what the situation was. I had gotten a flat tire somewhere, and Ray Porter called me, and he said, "Hey, I'm coming to bring you an air pump for your tire." I said, No, don't worry about it. I've already got a plan. And he goes, No, you're not robbing me of my blessing.
Aw.
Because he knew if he sewed into that he would be blessed
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Right.
So,
Yep.
Right.
yeah.
I always pray for people when I see them on the side of the
Me
highway
too.
changing a tire or because that's,
It's awful.
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially if it's a rain day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
it's
you
really
imagine-
hot or
Today, it didn't do anything all day. Hotter than blue blazes.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, it downpours for
downpoured,
10 minutes.
yeah.
Can you imagine having to change a tire out there?
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to walk back in the building from my car.
No, you ran.
I did. Left
Although-
Roger out there.
Those tire plugs, that's a blessing from God. Rather than spending how much money on a tire, I just plug those tires.
Your
until
tire is
they're-
actually all plugged.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
this
Oh,
point?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say sometimes I have too much air that's let out, but I have an air compressor in my CRV because it happens all the time for work.
Yeah,
So-
we have it's electric, and then
Does it-
you can convert it to cigarette a
Yes,
cigarette lighter.
or you can put the bottom, like you can charge. There's another bottom that you can charge, like at your house.
Mine doesn't have that.
Haha. How
That's
much was
fancy.
yours?
I don't know.
Mine was like 70, which I was like, but it's
For as
paid
often as
off.
you use it,
It
yeah.
has paid off. So.
Yeah. We bought that one because Alyssa always would. I have never seen anybody get flat tires like she would, but it wasn't anything she was doing. Like the bead around the rim would leak, or the
Right.
valve
Yeah.
stem would leak, or just weird stuff. So we bought one, and we got to the point to where her one tire leaked so bad we'd get out and pump it up, keep driving, get out, pump it up, keep driving. Like,
In the wintertime especially, it
Yeah.
loses more air then.
well, we kind of got to the point to where every time we would you'd go to have the tire fixed, you'd sit there for 2 hours, they'd tell you it's fixed, and the next day it's lost another
Yeah, flat again.
4 pounds of air. So
yeah.
we just
Oh, I know. We when Dave was hurt last spring, I go out to get in the car and there's a flat, and I just sent out an SOS, and Pastor Michael's like, Is anybody helping you? And I'm like, Jamie's on his way.
Yeah, and that was within seconds.
In
Like by the
seconds.
time I could even say anything, Jamie
Wow.
had already agreed to.
And
to
he
come
used
out.
the plug.
Yeah,
Yep. They're the
It's-
best.
Yeah,
They are.
Maybe
Yeah.
you ought to consider getting your tires loaded. See, that way you can take and run all the rubber off of it,
Yeah.
and then you can still run on the material that they load your tires with.
now
true.
this
That's
is irrelevant to blessings. However, I did just recently see that they make a run flat tire that you cannot like. It doesn't have air in it.
Oh.
The way that they're made is it looks like kind of like a spider web on the inside, and it's all rubber.
Hmm.
So you've got the outside tread,
Yeah.
and then on the inside it's just like this spider web, and you just put
Rubber.
4 of those bad boys on there. You could run over
Wow.
whatever, and it doesn't go flat. But they're $900 a piece. So yes, $900 a piece. It's like $945 for one of them.
And probably for like a standard car.
Well,
like,
that was for my Jeep. I was looking
Oh, okay.
specifically for my Jeep, which those tires tend to be $200-$300
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So they are a
Yeah.
little expensive. But $900 for one tire. I ain't that blessed. I tell you that.
Ooh.
No, I know the last time Dave had his truck over here and we go home and he's going boom, boom, boom. And he gets the car parked and I'm telling you, we were blessed. We got tires for almost next to nothing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And God was good. He always knows the need, doesn't he?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. That's one of the we've been, obviously I kind of was doing the logic in my head today. Alyssa and I started pastoring 4 years ago, right? It's been
I feel like you've been saying 4 years.
for
a
4
while.
years. Yeah, I've been saying 4 years for 4 years. No, I think it's been
Is it?
4 years.
Okay.
I think it has been 4 years. We're working on year 5.
Okay.
Okay. Really, technically only 3 licensed, but I did one whole year under
Right.
Rod before I was
Being
officially
officially
installed.
licensed.
Right. So 4 years, and we have started really from one end of the building and worked our way through the others, and just kind of, I don't want to say remodeled because a lot of it's just paint and
Yeah. Minor.
changing furniture and things like that. But we have had the ability to really refresh pretty much the whole building
Yeah.
at this point.
That's
Pretty much.
awesome.
At this point, there are only 2 rooms, which is the one that's becoming a classroom that's getting a refresh,
Mm-hmm.
and the yep.
Yeah.
We call it the brown room. For anybody who
I was
attends
gonna
here,
say
they know what
the-
room I'm
The
talking
storage for the
Stor-
kitchen?
Yeah, the
Storage
kitchen
slash
pantry.
kitchen.
about.
Yeah.
The kitchen pantry. That room has not seen any real work. Like we put in some shelving and things like that, but nothing major. So, but we've made our way through that, and we've always been able to figure out how to pay for it, and it's
Yeah.
never really been an extreme
Yeah.
expense. So that's been nice.
It's good stewards.
Yeah, for sure.
That's because the labor's free.
Yeah, it's not good, but it's free. Go look at my ceiling in my office. I hung a ceiling fan. There was no stud where the junction box was at, where the light was originally hanging. So it's about 3 inches over to catch the stud for the ceiling fan. So the hole where the light was originally covering is now just like boop, it's wide open.
You could get a thing.
That's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
do. Yeah. I have a plan. Again, albeit a good one. I mean, it is a plan. So,
Can't you get one of those big discs?
well, they make
Put up there?
yeah, they make like they're like ornamental.
Yeah.
They're
So
pretty. They
yeah,
can be real pretty.
and I don't know if it's self-adhesive. It looks like it is. The one that I saw, you just peel the back of it off, stick it up there where you're going to put the new fan, and then it'll cover that hole, and it's big enough.
Yeah.
So, if anybody ever takes it down, they'll be like, "What in the world were these people doing?" That's the problem. We didn't know.
Geez, they'll be in the same boat we're in.
Yeah,
I was
right,
gonna say, just like
exactly.
things are running.
We got to be careful.
blessed, though.
We got to be careful what we say because there are
Yes,
some people who
I
listen
know.
to this that help build this
Uh-huh.
place.
I know.
You pull out any one of these baseboards, I promise you, any one of these baseboards, there are nails in there that are like 3 inches long. So Roger keeps them in a cup, and then we use them for other things.
Hey, waste
They're
not, want
expensive.
not.
Yeah,
Right.
resourceful. But we have been blessed abundantly just to be able to do that. So I was saying that to say that on Sunday after church, I got to talk to Ed, and he is getting ready to start the parking lot project.
Isn't that exciting?
So
Yay.
we spent the better part of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that, praying over and collecting additional offerings so that we could help to do some renovations on the parking lot. Now, I am trusting the process on this. I don't get it. Like I was thinking we were going to put in like culverts and we were going to like catch basins and run the water, divert the water. No. He's got some incredibly simple plan that he says is going to work. So I'm trusting that it's going to. All I know is this. They will call me and tell me how much to write the check for and who to write it to. That's all that I need to know.
I have faith in him.
I do too.
Yeah, he knows
Like,
his stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's when I was talking to him about catch basins and stuff. He's like, he was looking at me like I was crazy. And he's like,
you
no,
don't
we're
need
not
to do that.
Yeah, we're not going to have
Yeah.
to do that. He said, you just take what's already there and we'll just move it around.
Move it
and-
around.
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that,
Less than we thought.
and now we've got the air conditioner that
Yes.
isn't, we've got one air conditioner that's down. And we should mention the sanctuary side. Those were installed in the 80s, and we're still operating with the original air conditioners and furnaces. Okay?
We
Knock
are
on
blessed.
wood.
We are blessed.
Knock on wood.
Yes.
The other side was installed in the 90s, and we are still operating all of those with the original furnaces and air conditioners with the exception of one. And the reason that one is in such bad shape is because of where it sits. So it's constantly getting hit with a weed eater or a mower or whatever. Just over the years, it's just been really beat
Yeah.
up. So we were able to finance that project, which is about $5,500. And we mentioned it last Sunday, and just last Sunday we had $60 in additional offerings
for the air conditioner.
to help pay for the air conditioner. So we're gonna break out the big thermometer on Sunday. And we're gonna
Get the truck.
the truck is already up there, so we're just gonna do another capital fundraiser and pay for the air conditioner again. And it's gonna get done. I think they said August 3rd is the current date that we're on the schedule to have it installed, because we financed it. And what's fun about that is because Alyssa and I have been blessed, they don't offer like business financing when you do that stuff. So we financed it personally. Because what other choice did we have?
Yeah.
We knew we weren't going to get it done. So but it's really nice that we have been blessed enough that we're able to do that.
Right.
Because there are people who
who
can't afford to do
Oh,
those
yeah.
types of things.
Oh, yeah.
So
And how blessed is the body of Christ
right.
to have pastors
Yeah.
that would be willing to do that.
Right.
We have always. So like the church credit card is, while it is a business card, it doesn't just get attached to a business account somewhere. Like we co-sign for that card.
Yeah.
And so we trust that
Right.
the church will be able to make those payments whenever we
Yeah.
buy something, but we never carry a balance on anything that we do. And one of the big reasons that we started using a credit card, and if anybody from Foursquare hears this, I will get beat up because they don't like credit cards, but we collect the points.
Yeah.
And then what we do with those is, like, whenever we do a fall conference or something, a group of us want to go, we've got those points to pay for hotels or
Right.
rental cars or whatever, so we can all go.
Yep.
So yeah.
They're still going for church functions.
yeah,
Right,
all
right.
of the
So-
points
Even the
always
points.
get put back towards something at the church, but we haven't used any at this point. So
Right. Well, we got to have a big stack of them.
we do. It's a pretty nice amount, and
Good.
we get it's 1% cash back on most purchases, and then there are special seasonal things that are 5% cash back. We usually just use it for, like, if Roger goes to Lowe's or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're usually only getting 1%, but still.
Right. It
Yeah.
adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, those are all blessings too. The fact that, like, they're paying us to spend our own money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So. Okay.
Well, to be blessed means to be happy, highly favored, and envied. And it says in the book of Proverbs that when we have God's commandment etched up on our hearts, that is when we will have favor with God and man. And so when we operate under the blessings of God, we're just following out what his desire is for our life.
Yeah.
Last Wednesday when I didn't even tell you guys this. I pull up out there at Macaulay Drive. My car's not running right. So I put it in drive. Of course, I forget it's in drive. And so I go and I can't.
You mean you put it in neutral?
No, it was in drive. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I was gonna say in drive. That's
Drive, it should've
if
went.
it was
Yeah.
acting up,
Actually-
it was because it wasn't in drive originally.
I put it in park. And I revved the engine a little bit, and it kind of spit and sputtered. And I forgot I'd done that. So when I went to go, I was like, what's going on here? And wouldn't you know, a car flew right past me. She ran the red light. Now, if I wouldn't have been in park,
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
she would have.
Yeah. Had that not happened.
Wow.
And I was just like, thank you, God. Thank you for my car spitting and sputtering.
Well, and that's another part of being blessed is sometimes it doesn't feel like a blessing when it's happening. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you don't always know that there's a really awesome blessing happening until it's.
Yeah, she's like, oh, my car's spitting. And
Yeah,
sputtering.
right.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going on vacation tomorrow.
That's what I was going to say. Now you're worried about.
Right.
Yeah.
But I really believe that was God's intervention. Because she just come boom like a flash.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, thank you, Jesus. Because, heck, we could be planting me.
Oh boy.
Oh, but I'm telling you, we can't outdo God's blessings.
That's right.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
And His protection. You know, I think those two kind of go hand in hand. His protection and blessing.
Yeah.
Because Psalms 91 says that he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadows of Almighty. And whenever we're abiding, He's blessing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Anybody else got any good blessing stories? Mine's a weird one,
Okay.
which
Well,
is
well,
not a shock.
Are
I
we
was
ready for
gonna say.
weird?
It's not that weird. Not everybody knows this, but no, everybody knows this. Pretty
Now
much.
everybody's going to know.
Pretty
it.
much
Now
everybody
everyone's
knows this.
gonna know.
No, I have established a pattern of bad behavior. I have an addictive personality, and by that I mean like if I start something, like there's always something else.
Chase is like, I don't understand why he has to finish a collection. I'm like, I don't know. It's just
it's a
him. I don't
compulsion,
know.
right?
Yeah.
And it honestly, I would easily say that you could classify it as a disease because it's anything. It's
I get it.
anything.
Well, and you said like with your mom's the same way.
My mom has the exact same problem. Listen, when my mom does one, she does 100. So, for instance, she bought this. She went to SeaWorld a couple of weeks ago, probably 2 months ago. I don't know. Anyhow, they shipped home this really large whale statue. I mean, it was a fairly large whale statue, and it got broken in shipping, but it was fixable. The miraculous part is I had 2 or 3 smaller ones just like it. But once she knew that, it was she realized there were more. It was how do I get those without going back? Right? So like
Yeah.
that, she has the exact same. At one point, my mom collected Cocker Spaniels. Dogs.
Real ones?
Real
Real
ones.
dogs?
Real dogs. At one point.
At one time?
Yes. I think at one point there were 4 or 5 in the house. And they were like all different colors. There was a blonde, there was a chocolate, there was a red. And I was like,
Well, you got to
what?
have one of each.
That's what I'm saying. Like what? And so but I've been able to recognize that. However, I have not, while I have not given up entirely on my Pokemon collections, I'm not buying them like I used to. But as soon as I went from that and moved on from that, I moved on to something else. But now in my head, I know it's a problem. So I started to realize it, start to focus on it a little bit. But I started doing, I'm not allowed to use the word magic.
I was going to say.
So we do illusions. But this one has been kind of unique in the fact that I get to use it for ministry.
Right.
So I am not huge on kids camp. I don't mind saying that out loud to everybody in here because I think kids camp, if done right, is great. But I have a hard time trusting other people are going to do it right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like their hearts have to be in the right place in order. Like my heart will never be in the right place to ever host a kids camp.
Well, and we haven't had the congregation size to hold a
Right.
an accurate one for a while.
So now we're sending kids to our area's kids camp, and Emmett is going. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to ask Pastor Rod if there's anything I can do to help if they need anything. And so I was sitting, Melissa and I had a fire 4th of July. We were sitting outside and I said, I'm going to text Rod and see if they want me to do like a magic show for the kids. I've got some really great gospel messages in the tricks. Like this would be fun.
Yeah.
And I text him and he doesn't respond. And so I text him again and I said, hey, so I'm assuming you don't want me to do magic. So I guess I'm just going to show up dressed as Elvis. He again didn't respond. And I said, okay, fine. I'm going to text your wife. And eventually his wife just texted me and said, hey, Rod said you could do a magic show for us. Would you be willing to do that? And so I'm super excited that we're going to have kids there from our church.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to go there, be there, and use what I have been learning to really get to spend time and connect with the kids who realistically I wouldn't have connected with otherwise.
Prior, right.
So I'm believing that is a blessing for me. It's a shift. It's it's a little bit of growth for me.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, in recognizing that, I don't do everything perfectly. Don't tell my wife; she doesn't know that yet. And and that I'm finding a way to connect with the kids that I wouldn't have normally done. So
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, and I've also committed to Alyssa that I would start doing Kids Min once a quarter, whichever class she needs me in, and then I think that's important to be able to connect with even our own kids. So
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I haven't shared. So,
'Kay.
So I started with the post office January of 2019. I don't know. But about 6 months later, and just fair warning that what I went into, I knew I was like, okay, I'm not getting full time for 10 or 15 years. Like I knew that.
Really?
Yeah. Cindy just got full time a year and a half ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was like 10 and a half years. And that actually wasn't terrible compared to my other coworkers. Like one was 16 years, one 17 years. So anyway, the guy who I was subbing for, he was 41 and just randomly passed away.
Wow.
Heart attack. Like they didn't even do a autopsy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They didn't do an autopsy, but he was a heavy drinker and smoker. So it was probably a heart attack that they were rolling. So I was on hold down, which means I was working 6 days a week. Not much has changed. For 7 months straight. But from the get-go, Cindy's like, just don't get your hopes up, because that would have been 6 months and I would have made regular.
Yeah.
That is unheard of. I know everyone knows that I didn't, but
we were all rooting for
right?
a
but from day one, I'm like, okay, so, and it happened in September, and they were supposed to post it within 30 days. Well, once that 30 days hit, it was November something, and that's their blackout time where they don't, because it's so close to Christmas, so they don't really deal with hirings and things like that and movements of the schedule. So they posted it after. And at that point, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm at 10 and a half months. I'm almost to my 1 year. Because that was the big thing. I had to have 1 year in to get full time. Well, then they posted 3 weeks before I would have had my 1 year in. And I'm like, oh. So long story short, they gave it someone else. However, 3 months later, Chase and I ended up getting married. And we had a little bit of financial help, but not much, and weddings are expensive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it wasn't for me being on hold down for six days a week, 7 months straight, there's no way we would have been able to have what we did have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just it was something I didn't get my hopes up from the get-go, but I'm like, I look back at it now, I'm like, oh, I see why, you know? So, and I could have used that money on something else, but that's what we were focusing on at that time.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yep.
Now, so you're still working 6 days a week, but you're on a different route, because the route that you were on, they hired that route.
Correct.
Or filled that route.
So shortly, about that happened last March. And then I was like, you know what? We get married in June. I'm going to hold it out and see how it goes, but I think I'm going to either transfer to Uricksville or Philly. And I was kind of helping both offices at that time anyway. And
well, what office were you in before?
Janayton.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah. So it was actually a big change, because Janayton only has one route, whereas Philly has 7.
Yeah.
So, and you just 7 plus the city routes. Janayton has one route and the P.O. boxes, and that's it.
So when you say 7 routes, that's rural routes.
Rural routes plus the city routes, which are 15.
Gotcha.
So it's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? We'll hold off. I don't need this stress right now. And I told everyone, I'm waiting till, July to decide. So I ended up deciding to transfer to Philly. And the route that I do now, the lady, I told my stepmom, she works at the one in Philly, and she's like, hey, our postmaster said you could transfer. He said you could have any route you want. I'm like, really? And I'm like, well, I want 3, which is the one that I'm on now, because she does academy, which is, and I think this is a blessing in itself, because he's like, yeah, she can have whatever route she wants. We need people. I don't care. Just have her come. I'm like, okay, well, give me 3.
I want to be able to do that. Just
me too.
I'm going to transfer to another place, but I want my pick of the route.
Yeah, he's not that kind of person either. He's a stickler, and I'm like, he's telling me I can have any route I want, and not even. It's again, it's a sub, so it's not really my route, but it's at least my one given day on Saturday. That's plus the lady that I work for. She actually trained me, so like you go to academy, for a week. So like this week she's at academy, so I get her. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Someone has to run the route whenever she's doing that.
Gotcha.
So it's some weeks it's full time. There's other weeks that I'm like, okay, this is slowing down. But she's also on the verge of retiring next July, and she's like ready to get out of there. So she's got a ton of sick leave and a ton of annual leave that she's just like using. Like even the sick leave, like you can use that on eye appointments, doctor's appointments, anything.
Yeah.
So she's like, hey, or Monday she'll be like, hey,
my big
I might
toe
be
hurts.
sick on. I might be sick Monday. Is that okay? Like quote unquote. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So I'm blessed that she has a lot of that time to take off.
So then in July when she retires, that her job will be posted. There is no guarantee that you would get.
Oh,
that
I
route.
won't get it. I know I won't because it's seniority. So like this. You know what I mean?
The system is seniority based.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So someone's retiring like in October right now, and the next guy. So this guy that's coming in, and then when Jody retires, there will be another one, and then there would be two more ahead of me. But my guess is the one is going to end up leaving because he's like opening his own business, doing power washing.
So I'm not advocating for this. But was it Nancy Kerrigan
Yeah, and Tanya Harding.
and Tanya Harding?
Yeah.
Like you could Nancy Kerrigan some folks, hit some kneecaps.
Well,
Yeah.
Then they can't.
I mean-
you can't
Tanya
carry-
Harding.
Yeah,
did
but
the-
she
Oh,
does-
she did the.
Yeah,
she did the
Tanya's
whacking.
the bad
Oh yeah.
bad one.
See how
yeah,
much
but
I
she
know
does-
about that.
She doesn't want a walking route. She wants
Oh,
a
good
driving
point.
Oh,
You
that's
like-
true. Yeah,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
drive.
Good point.
I was, and that was another thing I was contemplating. Should I walk all day or should
Holly's
I drive
looking
all
at
day?
me like you're like advocating hitting people. It was a joke. I wasn't being serious.
Sure. So
Okay, fun story. Then we're gonna go to Holly.
Yes.
But my sister sent me a picture yesterday, and she broke her ankle playing basketball at school with the kids. Okay, so that's what she tells me. She broke her ankle. This picture of my sister in like a temporary cast with her foot up. Turns out she broke her leg
oh my gosh,
playing basketball
how did she do
at
it?
school.
Just like it twisted the wrong way? Or?
Being old and brittle.
Yeah.
That's what I told her. I said, "You're no spring chicken, girl. You're almost 40. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't be playing basketball. Like, I'm 36, about to be 37. I ain't about to play basketball. Mama didn't raise no fool. I know better. Don't throw out a hip. Like, I don't think
You
so.
so out of hip just carrying a.
I know, carrying
credenza.
furniture. Well, don't even talk, Roger. Your hand was bloody when you left here yesterday.
More DNA.
Yeah. Dude, like it looked like somebody had chewed on his hand. There's blood everywhere. But anyhow,
With all them nails.
yeah, he just kept running his hand up this
Hey.
rung of nails. I mean, his whole hand was chewed up. But my sister breaks her leg, and again, it's a weird blessing story. Which, not that it's not a blessing.
I
she
know. I
broke her
think
leg.
you were just gonna tell us. I'm like,
Yeah, no. So she breaks her leg, but within the day, all of the things that she needed in order to survive with said broken leg have been given to her. So like one of those little knee scooters. She has two kids
Oh,
that
yeah,
she has
yeah.
to keep. You know what I mean? Like she has. They're not in school right now, so you're not sending them out of the house. Like
Yeah.
she's got to be able to care for them
Yeah, it's
day
the
long.
worst time to have
Yeah.
a broken leg.
And her husband's job is like full time. Like he is there morning, noon, and night. So
Yeah.
it's hard for him to do a whole lot from home. So, so she has to ride around on her little knee scooter and take care of her kids. But that like shower chair, all of the things
Wow.
that she would need, they were like she had them.
that stuff's expensive too.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
if you have to go out and buy it.
Yep. She didn't have to buy any of it. So
That's good.
Wow.
it's funny. To me, it's funny that my sister broke her leg playing basketball because she always thinks like she's like the most athletic. She's like, yeah.
Who's going to mow your grass now?
Yeah, I know. I hired somebody to mow my grass a couple years ago.
Well, I thought your sister was doing it.
She used to do it when we first moved into the house. My sister did it, but she always complained about the trees. I got sick of listening to her complain about the trees, so I just hired somebody to do it.
There you go.
Because the trees were like you would mow the grass and it'd smack you in the face. But then after I hired somebody, I had the trees trimmed too. So. But it is the best $30 a week that I spend. I promise you.
bet.
The only way it could be better, the only way it would be a better $30 is if I had somebody that came and did all of my laundry.
Yeah.
If I could pay somebody $30 a week to do all of my laundry, it'd be the best $30 I could spend.
With 5 people, there ain't no way you ever get 30.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
$30 would be like they would have to be willing to work for $1 an hour because it would take 30 hours to get all of our laundry done.
We had a pool table growing up. There were 7 of us, and it
It's
was
just where the clothes lived.
well, it was right by the basement door, basement door, which was where the washer and dryer was. And Cindy would always come right up, and it was just like the folding table. We never played on that thing. Like, we had stacks, like, okay, this corner is Sid's, this corner is Emily's.
My
Yeah.
living room is usually that way. There's usually 3 baskets of clothes in my living room. This one's Adeline's, this one's Easton's, this one's Emmett's. And then one always in our bedroom that's split in half with my clothes and Alyssa's clothes. My clothes and Alyssa's clothes live there until we wear them again.
Yeah.
And the kids live there until they inevitably take them to their room and shove them in a drawer, not in any rhyme or reason.
Right.
2 days later, Mom, I don't have any underwear. Yeah, you do. They're shoved in your
You
pants
shoved them
drawer
somewhere.
or in your shirt drawer. I just gave up on it.
Yeah, choose your battles.
Yeah. Oh, it's not
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah,
It is
yeah.
not worth it. Yeah, definitely not
Yeah.
worth it. All right, Holly, you got any good blessing stories for us?
I was thinking of some of them. I'm telling you, God's always just been so good to me. That song, The Goodness of God, right? He's just chasing me down and running me over with his goodness. And I don't know, when I had my open heart surgery, he was just totally amazing. I went in that surgery feeling so terrible, and I came out feeling like a brand new person. And Dave said that when I came out of surgery, I was as pink, and I had a great big smile on my face. But I had an excellent nurse, and I said to him, I said, well, I get to have you my whole stay. And he says, oh, no, I don't work this department. Well, his name was Jacob. You know, Jake from State Farm, of course. You've heard. And he, the next morning when I was in intensive care, they took the life support off. They took the air tubes out. I ate that day, the day after surgery. And by evening, they was like, well, you're ready to go to step down. And I was like, okay. And they're like, we're going to get your wheelchair. I'm like, no, I'm going to walk. And I walked out of intensive care down to my room. And Melody, Dave, and I was in there, and we had the lights real low, and we just had praise and worship music on. And I remember the nurse when she walked in. Did you ever see somebody walk into an atmosphere and then kind of back out of it?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh my!" She said, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And I said, "This is Jesus."
Yeah. I've done that even in the prayer room, like when they're praying in the mornings. Like you walk through the door with a certain like whatever's going on out
craziness,
here.
yeah.
Not even the craziness, but like we may be joking in the lobby and having a good time, but when you walk through that door, it's like it kicks you in the face. Like you're like, okay, wait a second, you got to readjust and like
it's like walking from outside to inside.
Yeah. Or from inside to outside.
Or-
inside air
yes.
conditioning, outside
Or
heat.
like when it's super bright out.
Yes.
Outside. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was real. You know, for me, that was a real experience that we could set that atmosphere
Right.
in the hospital.
Yeah, and that other people experience it because you were there.
Right,
Because
they could feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they gave me. I'll give you a hint. If they ever say, "Do you have pain and it's discomfort?" Don't say yes.
Okay.
Because they will give you some kind of medicine that will send you so far away. Like,
Well, those can be dangerous too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, in my mind, I'm thinking I should call Dave and tell him something's wrong.
But your body doesn't respond to that. You're like,
I should call Dave and tell him something's wrong. But I could not budge. And pretty soon this nurse walks in and he says, "You okay?" I'm like, "I think I shook my head." I don't know. And he's like, "Oh, honey," he said, "You just got too much medicine."
Yeah.
He said, "It'll wear off." And when Dave finally got there after he'd been to work all day, I was like, "Something's wrong."
I don't feel so good.
And Dave's brother Ray. He is like a ricochet rabbit, and he come to see me that day, and I'm like, and he is a ricochet rabbit and all over this room, and I just looked at him and I said, "You need to go home." But it was a blessing that he did come to see me.
Yeah.
But I wasn't up for all that.
Yeah.
And then my doctor came in, and sure as anything, I had that surgery on the 18th of December, and they sent me home on December 3rd. So I got to be home for Christmas.
Oh, November 18th to
No.
December 3rd?
God, you guys know I had COVID. And I cannot get my thoughts together.
COVID brain.
COVID bog. December 18th, I had surgery.
Uh-huh.
And on December 23rd, they sent me home.
23rd.
Gotcha, 23rd.
Okay, 23rd.
So
I was like, whoa, she went back in time.
I'm telling you.
It was them drugs she was on.
Back in time.
Oh, listen to that.
Moving on up.
I figured that out earlier today. That was the perfect opportunity to use it.
hey, that's our Sunday.
Our trivia?
Yes, trivia.
Yes, okay.
What did you say with a special effect?
Yes, okay.
There you go.
Oh, my gosh.
I said to Roger, I'm going to do that tonight at some point. That was
I
it.
said,
You were waiting on it all
Yeah.
night.
I was waiting. Yeah. I says, well, that sounds like Goulardi. He said, who?
Yeah, I must be too young for that one.
Big Chuck
Crickets,
and Hula.
crickets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Crickets.
And Son of
Can you
Ghoul.
insert
Yeah.
I could, but I don't
Yeah.
like. I didn't have it. I should have.
Yeah.
I should have. We're gonna get into like real production value. We're gonna have it's gonna go do trivia time.
We're gonna have to get hire someone
Yeah,
to do.
we just got a tech person.
You know what else we need? A clap machine.
yeah.
Like,
An
hey,
applause.
hey, that's supposed to be funny.
An applause track, a laugh track.
Oh, my
Cue
goodness.
the laugh track,
I was gonna
please.
say we realize that the five of us think we're a lot more entertaining than we
Yeah,
really are.
yeah.
There
People
are
are probably rolling their.
there are people going, I wish they would shut up and just finish the cast. Like, can you just keep moving, please?
Blessings.
Okay, so anyhow, we're back to the story. I'll get it right. So, when they said it was time to go home, it scared the bejeebies out of me. Because in there, I'm monitored.
Right.
Yeah.
At home,
Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm telling you, a spirit of fear swept over me. And I don't know if you ever experienced fear in this dimension where, like, you can't see straight, you can't think. Like, get your clothes on. Where's what clothes? What's clothes?
The drugs again.
How do I?
Yeah, she has still too many drugs.
Yeah, like I'm going home with Dave. Me and Dave's going home.
He's my husband? Huh?
Yeah.
He's
can't go
not a
home.
Who
doctor.
are you?
But they assured me that those were all normal emotions.
That's good.
But before I got to leave, would you know, God opened a door that I got to pray with Jacob.
Yeah,
Aw.
nice, very
Yeah.
nice.
And
Yeah.
I got to talk to him about Jesus. And him and his wife at that time were getting a new home, and they had a new car, and he was getting a new baby, and just a lot of things that I got to bless him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he was such a blessing to me. You know, he just lived up on the corner from me. I never have seen him since.
Really, really.
Yeah, I'll tell you another thing about my surgery. When I went into the operating room, Mel was standing in the corner, and I just remember blowing her a kiss and thinking,
Bye.
This is it.
and when I get in there, I was like, they never gave me nothing. Just wheel me in there. And did you ever just feel yourself tremble from head, like your
Oh,
hair is
yeah.
even shaking? And this gentleman with dark hair, dark eyes, and dark skin, with a mask on, came over and held my hand. And he said, everything is going to be all right.
Yeah,
And that was the last thing I remember. But I swear to you, that was an angel.
yeah. I firmly believe. So when I had my stomach issues, I went and had a procedure done. I won't say which procedure because it's not necessary. I think you can do the math and figure it out. But whatever they give you to sleep, like you go in there, I'm laying in the bed, like in the pre-op spot. They like nobody talks to you. Like they come in and they ask you 3 or 4 questions, and you just lay in there.
You're like isolated.
Yeah, and
almost.
eventually they come in and they push the little thing on your bed, and they push your bed into the room.
Here
and,
we go.
And the next thing you know, here we go, right? And the lady said, so I'm gonna give you some medicine to help you sleep, and it'll set in fast. And I said, all right, I'll see you in a little bit. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
It had been 30 minutes, and I felt like I had been asleep for 15 seconds. When I woke up, I was like, whoa, can I get some of that for at home? Because it was the best nap I've ever had.
Yeah.
The best nap I've ever had. And they said that normally it's 45 minutes, something like that, in recovery in order for you to wake up, get your bearings about you, and go home. Not there. They're like, you need to go. We need that bed back.
Yeah.
And they
Wow.
she practically carried me out to the car and threw me out the front door. But the nice part was we went through all of that to find out that what I was experiencing was very minor, and it wasn't anything to be super concerned about. Now, your story, my story, takes me back to another story that you would have about when Dave got hurt by the lawnmower, because you were scheduled for a surgery,
Yeah, my hip.
your hip surgery, at the exact same time. Basically, like you were going into that hip surgery when Dave got hurt.
Yeah, my hip surgery was scheduled for the 28th, and Dave had surgery on the 25th.
Yes. And thought there was no way that was going to happen for a couple of reasons. There was a financial burden in having both of you off at the
Right.
same time. And then just not being able to care for one another.
Right, who's going to take care of us?
Yeah. Who cares for who in this
Right.
situation?
Like, I had to sign a paper that I would have 7-day, 24-hour care.
Yeah.
But thank God for the women of the church
Yeah.
that come and spent 3 weeks with us.
Yeah. But in all of that, but when that originally happened with Dave, you and I talked, and we thought that you were going to end up not being able to get the surgery.
Right.
And then was there a cancellation or something changed?
No, my work,
Oh, you called and canceled it.
I called it. I called and canceled it because I had waited for that spot for 6 months.
Yeah.
If somebody needed a hip replacement,
Right.
let's get that
Let
done.
him get it. Yeah.
Well, I no sooner done that, and my work called and said that they were going to match my family medical so that I could get that surgery.
So then you were able to call back,
And they still had my appointment.
and she said,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because coming from, I used to work at a dentist office, and I was like the appointment coordinator
Mhm.
and a couple other things. But anytime someone would cancel, we're like, all right, let's fill this. Let's
Yeah.
fill this. And like we would have the cancellation list, and I would actually know like mentally, like, oh, I've seen this person's name like 4 different times, like they're, so half the time I'm like, oh, call this person, and what do you know, like they're due,
Yeah.
So that's amazing that it was even still available.
Yep.
So.
So she was still able to get the surgery. We happened to have a hospital bed
Right.
Mhm.
from when Alyssa's mom was sick. So because they had one, but obviously Dave was now utilizing that one, and they were going to need another one. So we were able to take the hospital bed, get it over set up before you got home. Just like all of the things, it just worked out very, very nicely that they were able to be.
Like, I had those, I don't know what they're called, circulators to keep your blood circulated.
Yeah.
The socks.
And
Mhm.
they puffed. But I could not get them on myself. My sister Melody came over for 8 weeks every evening and put those on me.
Yeah.
So that, I wouldn't get a blood clot.
Yeah.
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 I can't tell you the blessing upon blessing upon blessing. This is something that I learned through that, is that Dave and I might not be rich on this earth,
Mm-hmm.
but we have great treasure in
Mhm.
heaven.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would say that for most of us. I don't think that any
Yeah.
of like, I'm not independently wealthy. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no.
Like,
No.
like I haven't hit the lottery, and I haven't stashed millions in a bank
I don't
account anywhere.
really care to. I mean,
Yeah.
I
I
can't take it with us.
well,
Exactly.
right. And they talk about building generational wealth. But when I think about generational wealth, I think about, like, if my kids know Jesus,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
more wealth than
Amen.
any money I could ever
Yep.
give them.
Amen.
Like, so we bring the 2 oldest boys with us every other Sunday, because that's when they're with us, and they sit in the very back, and their heads are down, and they're bored, and they don't want to be here. But it's the age. But we have planted a seed that they wouldn't.
And they're listening, even though you think they're not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're hearing.
Yep.
And you're a lot more entertaining than the pastor that I had at that age. So
Right. Yeah. And there's now the problem for them is I'm their
You're their
dad,
dad.
and
Yeah.
I'm embarrassing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's
They're still hearing.
yes,
what they need.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
I seen a post on Facebook, and it was a child underneath a pew, and it says, "How many of you grew up this way?" Well, my daughter did.
Yeah.
With Cheerios and Barbie dolls.
Yeah, whatever it took. Yeah, whatever it took.
Yep.
Nick, what do you got for us?
Well,
If you say your wife, so help me, don't you be over there trying to get brownie points.
No. Of course I am, but
Yeah,
Love you, Margie.
I get all the I need all the points I can get.
we all do.
Wait, real quick. I saw on Facebook, she posted it, not you. Are you about ready to take your Gettysburg test?
Well, there's a rumor that they are
rumor.
going to give it in December of 24.
Gotcha.
How do you hear this rumor? Like, do you have friends?
There's
Like the
there's
community?
rumbling in the community.
The community.
Yeah, there's always people in the Gettysburg community that
Okay.
know this person, that person. They hear something
Gotcha.
and pass it
Okay.
along.
That's cool.
So they haven't given it since, I believe, 2018.
Really?
Wow.
They don't do it all the time, and of course with COVID, that
Yeah.
really shut it down. And they had a bunch of guides who didn't come back from COVID right away, and so they kind of have a surplus of guides, and they're still waiting to see if some of the older people are going to come
Mhm.
back.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they didn't want to give it right away, because then they would have too many people.
Right.
So, yeah, so there's a rumor that perhaps next year they'll give the test, but you can get a 95% and still fail.
That's what you said.
my
the
gosh.
written test is easy. It's the field test that's difficult.
Well, what's the difficult part is because of the competition. Like, you can have a 95%, but because it is so competitive, you know, you could have 10 other people ahead of you with a 97,
Yeah.
98, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why that getting past the first part is so hard, because it's just a really competitive field.
Gotcha.
And I think it's a really difficult test, like 200 questions plus essays. So I've heard it's some people that have their lawyers, their doctors, and they still say that's the hardest test they've ever taken
Really?
in their life.
Yeah, the bar is
So-
easy
Yeah.
compared
Yeah.
to
Yeah. So
Compared to
can
the
you
Gettysburg
imagine?
the guide.
Yeah. So we'll see. So I'm just, trying to,
Prep.
be prepared and
Okay.
try to get in the swing of it and stay in the swing of it. And of course, Marty's like, you know all this already. I said, no, it's
Yeah.
you got to keep it constantly.
I was going to say,
Right,
maybe
right.
you do,
There's
but
so many moving parts.
Yeah, for sure.
but
Yeah.
you figure when you get to 200 questions too, even if you do know it, is it timed?
Yes.
So that's what I'm like. You have to know it right now. Not I don't need to think about
Yeah.
this. I need
and
to
it's
just,
not multiple choice.
Yeah.
It's all fill in the blanks. You either know
Oh,
it
wow.
you
or
don't
you
know
don't.
it. So yeah.
Does spelling count?
So
If spelling counts, I'm in trouble.
I
you
would
and me
s-
both.
I would say on some things it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
would
Like
say
names?
I would say if you can't
For sure,
spell the
yeah.
generals' names and they see a lot
Yeah.
of misspellings, I think they would be like, maybe this is
Yeah.
not the guy we want to put forward.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
How many do
Oh,
they
so-
have like on site?
I
Yeah.
think right now they had a surplus of maybe 150.
Huh.
So they wanted to see that number go down a little bit.
Wow.
So when you pass this, then what happens?
Well, okay, so you pass the written part, and then you go into what they call charm school. And they basically just want to see, okay, should this guy be in a vehicle with a family? So you may know
The answer
a lot
is
about
no
the
for me,
Bible.
just so we're clear.
If you're a type of person that gets in a car that belongs to somebody else, and you're either not a safe driver, say you're sitting there waiting for the light to change, and you start throwing out explicits because
So Michael.
traffic, this and that.
Don't let me do it.
You're not going to pass. So it's more like a conduct type of thing to see if you can handle being with other people, and you have a good personality, so you fit in that way. And then I know there's 4 parts, but the very last part is you have to give a tour to the superintendent.
Oh my.
And probably a superintendent and maybe another guide. So you're giving it to people who already
Right.
know everything,
Yeah.
which I
Right.
think would be the hardest part is
Yeah.
how do I do this when I know that person staring at me already knows what I'm going to say?
And it has to be somewhat unnerving, knowing that they
Yeah.
already know all the
Yeah.
things.
Oh yeah.
And they could look you in the eye and say, oh, well, what about this? And they could ask you a question that, while you may know the answer, you're not
Right.
It's that-
And another big thing is you have to be concise, because a normal tour is 2 hours. So you cannot go clear up into the clouds with all of this information.
Yeah.
You know, you have all this information, you want to share it,
Right.
but you have to do the whole battlefield in 2 hours
Yeah.
and tell a story and get from point A to point B in 2 hours and make it entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and know your stuff. And so they're looking for all that you can do all of these
Are you
different
allowed to do
things.
magic during the tour?
I
Probably not.
don't know. Maybe when,
Maybe.
yeah.
Not enough time for it.
Yeah, probably not.
Mhm.
Not if you have to.
I don't know any generals that did magic, though, so
No.
you couldn't even maybe incorporate that.
Their
into,
loss.
You know, so.
Their loss.
They didn't
Yeah.
have your cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't have my deck of cards.
So anyhow, I didn't want to come to the table with just, you know, talking about maybe an everyday blessing. I told my wife, I said, my life has been blessed with tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Even before I was born, when my mom conceived me, her father was passing away, I believe, from cancer.
Mm.
So he passed away just as I was coming into the world, and that's kind of how it started off for me. And then I had a really good childhood, probably just one of them childhoods, you know, you could write a movie about.
The Wonder
It was-
Years.
yeah, the
Mhm.
Wonder Years, absolutely.
Sure.
But you know, my mom ends up getting sick with cancer when I'm 12 or 13. And then that in effect caused my parents to split up. And that's when I'm in high school. So I'm going through high school kind of with all that going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that wouldn't have been so bad, but my mom then gets mixed up with this guy who's really abusive. So, and she took my sister with her, so it kind of split the family a little bit. My sister and I were always close. And I say all this, I don't want to ever, you know, like pass any judgment on my mom, because I love my mom. She was terrific. But, you know, obviously she was going through a lot,
Yeah.
you know. So I go through that, and it's just about that time that, you know, yeah, we went to church when we were kids and things like that, but that's when I really started to develop a personal relationship
Yeah.
with God. I think I went to the bookstore, bought my own Bible, my first Bible that was mine, and just, you know, kind of started reading it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably about that time, too, that I got into the Civil War and really
Mhm.
started studying that and studying those generals. And, of course, there's a lot of religious,
Yeah.
you know, connotations in there. And so all those influences started to happen, of me really just having this personal relationship with God. So then I ended up getting married for the first time, and the marriage goes well for about 5 years. And then that falls apart. And just about the time that that's falling apart, my son, at the time he was 4 or 5, he gets his finger bit off by a bear.
Oh my gosh.
Like
A bear.
this.
My ex,
How did I not know that?
Yeah.
my ex-father-in-law had it like a petting zoo up on their farm, and they kept a couple bears.
Where was this petting zoo at?
It's like close to if you go out Stillwater, like say you know where Tapman's store is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you go up on the hill there.
Oh.
Tedrow Road out there.
Yes.
Where?
So it's a very top of that hill.
All right. I apologize, but where does one obtain a bear?
I don't know.
From the woods.
Yeah.
Do you go out and catch it? Like chase it with a stick? Who does that?
I mean, I think they
Did he have to have a license?
I think they had the license and everything. I think they went through the proper channels to get it. And they had all kinds of animals out there, but they got this bear, and they even kept it in the house for a while while I was dating my ex-wife.
Oh.
You know, so yeah,
Oh my god.
whatever.
Like, was it
So-
an accident or was the bear like malicious?
No, it was an accident. What happened?
That's a dumb question.
His-
How does a bear accidentally bite off a finger?
He was sticking his finger in.
Actually, you know, I do think it was an accident because his aunt, which I think she was fairly young at the time, she might not even been 12, 13 years old. There's a security fence and then another fence that separates people who want to look at the bear. Well, for some reason, she put him over the both fences so he could be right up on the chain link fence. So it's winter time. He's up against the fence. He has his gloves on and everything. So he's got his hand in there. So the bear comes up and just kind of grabs his finger. Well, and I think I do remember it kind of pulled his arm through the chain link fence because his skin on his arm was rolled all the way to his arm. You know?
Oh.
But I think it just went to kind of just,
Well,
I really think it was
play,
playfully
yeah.
because if it really wanted to, I
It
mean,
would've- yeah.
could've
Yeah.
been bad.
But a bear is a bear regardless. Like
Yeah.
that's what bears do.
So it got his finger and pretty much took it to the point of they couldn't
Wow.
put it back on.
I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah.
the toughest 4 or 5-year-old I've
Yeah.
ever heard
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And of course my ex in-laws brought him to my house instead of taking him straight to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And when I took the glove off,
Ooh.
I mean it was just his
So-
bone, it was just his bone.
Yo.
So
sticking up.
were you with your ex-wife at the time?
We were just about ready to go Christmas shopping.
I mean, together.
Yeah,
Okay,
we were together.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, this is towards the end of our marriage, but we were getting ready to go Christmas shopping, and he was going to stay with them, and then they call us and tell us what happened, and then they bring him to our house instead of taking him straight to the hospital. So there's his finger with just no skin, just a bone.
Just
And all he
hanging.
said to me at the time was, "Dad, don't hit the bumps." And I thought, well, yeah, that's
Poor buddy.
yeah.
Try not
So-
to.
So we took him to Akron, and they had to take it back to his knuckle.
So he still has it.
Well, he has it to the knuckle.
Yeah.
Okay,
to the-
okay, I
to
gotcha.
that,
Yes,
the
I
middle
gotcha.
knuckle there.
Which finger?
I think it was his
Pointer finger?
I think it was his right hand. So yeah.
But his pointer finger. So, like-
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So there's that. So deal with that, and then so the marriage falls apart.
Stupid bear.
Stupid bear. And about the time that we're getting our divorce, and I think we got divorced on my birthday. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that was awesome.
What a birthday
And
gift.
right.
Perfect.
Yeah. Tissues, anybody? No.
Oh, wait, I'll tell you.
So what the very first thing that you said when you started this story is that your life has been did you use
Blessed by tragedy.
blessed
Yes.
by
Yeah.
tragedy was you weren't a joking.
Nuh-uh.
No.
I mean, I thought the Mackeys had bad luck. I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
"Man."
Wow.
But you did marry one of my relatives.
Yes, I
so,
did, yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
We're getting there. It's getting better.
You better get to it.
So the same time I'm getting divorced from my first wife, my mom passes away. So I deal with the divorce and my mom passing away at the same time. So I have that. So it's at that point that in those 10 years where I was divorced, and I think I've said this before, that's kind of where I started to get off track. I kind of stopped reading my Bible. I kind of stopped paying a lot of attention to what God would want me to do, and start focusing on other things to try to just cope with
Yeah.
the fact
Yeah.
I had never drank in my life, not in high school, not at a party,
Yeah.
not at a friend's function, anything, not even a sip. Well, I started drinking during that period, just going completely the wrong way. Not that I really lost my heart for God, but it was just like I think I just kind of gave up
Put
on
him on.
myself. I
Yeah.
tell Margie that all the time. I think I just lost my self-esteem
Yeah.
and just got to a point where I got distracted
Mm-hmm.
and the sad thing for me is thinking like, okay, when I say I've been blessed by tragedy, I think, okay, now that may have been the first opportunity I may have had to say, okay, well, that part of my life didn't work out. I'm kind of free to do as I want to do, is what I should do. And I didn't do anything with those 10 years, but feel sorry for myself
Yeah.
Right.
and make
Yeah.
things
Right.
worse.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
So, at that point, I probably could have went to Gettysburg. I could have sped that process
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
put forth all that energy towards that, and I didn't. So, through those 10 years, and then towards the end of that 10 years, my sister, after my mom passed, she really got off track after my mom passed away. And she had a daughter, and she got to the point where she just couldn't take care of her daughter. And the situation was getting to where I was afraid something was going to happen to her daughter because how
Yeah.
bad the situation
Yeah.
was. Plus, she was living with my dad at the time, and my dad was almost on the verge of a nervous breakdown because she would just leave the baby with him, and he would have to go to work, come home, and
Yeah.
so it was just a mess.
Yeah.
So, and I was had a live-in girlfriend at the time. So, I took my niece, took her in. Well, as it happens, that relationship with that living girlfriend was not for me. But again, I think my self-esteem was so low that I knew that wasn't the right person for me, but I'm like, well, it is what it is. I'm going to try it because I'll be honest, if I don't really love her, then I don't have to worry about feeling
There's no
about
connection.
that loss.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work. Yeah, that doesn't work. So that relationship fell apart. And because of some of my bad decisions as far as the drinking and things like that, my ex-girlfriend was able to use some of that against me and inflate that situation to the point where the court in the end gave my niece to my ex-girlfriend. So
Wow.
not even family.
Wow.
I mean, and that's a whole other story. But long and the short of it is, I blame partly myself because I allowed that to happen. I allowed to put myself in a position to where somebody could do that to me because I turned away from God and I was focused on other things. So that happens. And then also at that time, that's when I met Margie. And being perfectly honest, that was not in God's timing. And that's just the way it is. That's how we met. That's how we fell in love. But it was not in God's timing. We rushed it and we shouldn't have. But, as one guy told me, God's plan B is always better than your plan A.
Yep.
And it's definitely because of Margie that I met Florence, started going back to church, started looking towards God again. So, again, when I say, I've been blessed with tragedy, I can also say I've been humbled by it because no matter what I've done, God continues to bless me. He's never given up on me. Even when I've given up on him, when I've turned my back and been angry or questioned him, he's never given up on me. So, and also right after Margie and I got married, that's when my father had a heart attack and he passed away. So just as I'm starting my marriage with Margie, then my dad passes away, which was a big loss for me.
Yeah.
But unlike what happened to me with my first divorce, I've told the story before, I went right to the chapel at Altman Hospital. And I prayed, and I just said, God, if this is your will, I said, if you feel you need to take him, this is what is supposed to happen. I completely trust you. I want him to stay, but I completely trust your will to do,
Yeah.
And at that moment, just all of the anxiety and fear and all those emotions that I was going through, I could be honest, just completely went away. And I was able to handle that situation from that time forward.
Had like a moment of peace.
Because, it's just when you get to the point when you can trust God like that, and like I said, to be, in a sense, blessed by tragedy to the point where it humbles you, to where it continues to humble you. If you're reflective that way, if you can give credit to God and keep him first in your life, all of those things can't possibly come against you in the end. Yeah, you'll have your setbacks. You will do things, that, you will regret doing. But if you have God in your heart, he never gives up on you. He's always ready to start completely over.
Yeah.
No matter how many times, you got to go back. He's always ready for you to go back.
That's right.
And, and I've had, I don't think I've ever told people this, but in some ways I'm a believer that, I don't want to sound harsh, but if you're humbled by God and you're in God's presence, you will receive some punishment for your sin in a constructive way. And
I think that's the way that Holly and I think we would agree. We view that as growth.
Yes.
yeah,
Like the punishment that comes with it is not necessarily meant to be punishment, as it is to bring you through a season.
or it's just to really grab your attention.
Yeah,
I
I always call that the Christian 2x4.
there
Have you ever
go.
seen Tommy Boy? It doesn't hurt here or
here
here.
so much,
It
but
hurts
right
right here. That's kind of
Nope, ship shape.
yeah, nope, ship shape. Holly's looking at us like I ain't never seen that movie.
That's a dumb
I
show.
do know who Tommy Boy is, though. Because Dave.
That was one of the movies Chase made me watch. He says I never watched movies growing up. And yeah.
If you haven't seen Tommy Boy, it is true.
But I've been humbled because I truly believe, because I met Margie and it wasn't in God's timing, I received a few things for that. And sometimes I think, well, maybe that was in the form of my father's death. Maybe that was part of that humbling experience that I was going to have to go through, that I was going to have to go to God to and give him back my trust and give him back my attention. I had my right hand smashed by a 1-inch plate on a burn table, which is, if you ever seen the table, it has huge teeth on the bottom of it, sticking straight up everywhere. So if your hand comes down on it, so this finger on my right hand had 2 huge holes in it, punctured all the way through because the 1-inch plate came down on top of it. And I had like 18, 20 stitches, something like that, to repair it. Yeah, I just sat there and watched her do it, Like, yeah, go ahead, do what you need to do. After she numbed me, of course.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
They give you that medicine I got whenever I had my procedure.
Yeah.
No, they just give him a shot in his finger.
So, yeah. And then for some crazy reason, my right eye started being terrible pain every morning at 2 a.m. Terrible pain, and nobody could explain it. And I dealt with it for a long time to the point where I had to have surgery because they said there was an erosion in there, like there was a hole that would not repair itself. It would not heal. So I had to have the surgery to heal it. And, of course, my vision is blurry to this day.
Yeah.
And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I tend to think of those things as, yeah, God has forgiven me for those sins. He's, He's blessed me abundantly. I mean, I have a beautiful home to live in. I have a person to spend my life with that I know is the right person for me. The family members that I do have, I love, have a great relationship with. It's like everything in my life is abundant. I have plenty of things to look at that I know that I'm blessed with.
Yeah.
And I can look back on where I came from and be like, wow, in some ways I don't deserve this. You know,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it all does come down to, where's your heart at? What is it that you're looking to? As long as you are continually focusing on God and going back to God, you always have another opportunity.
Yeah.
Just like I said, to start over, to regain that relationship. And you'll see that he'll take you where you need to go. But it's just
Might be some detours.
Might be some detours, but most time it's our own. We
It's
set
our
up.
We make the
Oh.
We
detours.
set up
yeah.
those detours.
We're the ones causing those flat
we're
tires.
doing the construction on the highway.
yeah, no kidding.
His highway
Yeah.
is perfect.
Yeah.
But we decide that, no, we want an exit here.
Yeah.
We want a bridge
Let's
here.
build an exit here.
Yeah, we want to do those things.
Yeah.
And that really works out, I think, for people. And I just know in my case, like I said, just for anybody that thinks, there is no possible way that with everything I've done in my life, there's no possible way he can bless me, but that's not true.
Right.
There's always that opportunity if it's pure in your heart.
Yep.
That you're going to start looking to God and ask him for the right answers and give him, your patience, your understanding, and accept his will.
Yeah.
It's amazing where your life will start to go.
That's right.
And, and blessings are a lot of work. Like this weekend, I got to plant 32 evergreen arborvitaes up the side of my yard because we took the old ones out. We were going to put a privacy fence up, but we decided those they'll grow higher than 6 feet for one thing.
Yeah.
And I think
And
over
they're probably
time,
cheaper.
they're cheaper.
Oh yeah.
And they'll probably last longer than that vinyl fence.
Yeah.
So I think, man, that's this weekend. It's going to be what, 95 degrees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah. So, blessings aren't always easy.
That's right.
But if we sit back and look at it, I'm pretty blessed that, we have the money to do
Exactly.
this.
Yeah.
We have
Yep.
have a home that we continually put pride in,
Mm-hmm.
and put work into. And yeah, I complain a lot to my wife. I try not to complain to anybody else, but there's
You're
one person
complaining
I
to us
complain
now.
to. It's her.
Yeah.
And I need to work on that.
Well, she's the one making you do the work, right?
She's the one that inspires it. Yeah.
Inspires it. That's a nice way to put it.
Word.
She has the ideas.
Good job,
Good
Nick.
job. Yeah. Good job.
Dave's going to love that.
She's
Because now I'm going to start inspiring.
she's an inspiration, let me tell you. So,
I can just see her Pinterest board right now.
yeah. So,
I love it. I love it.
She never runs out of ideas. And, that's why I told you guys earlier, I am ready for winter.
Yeah.
I am ready for the seclusion of winter. I don't know how many projects I've done this summer, but I've had plenty of blessings.
Yeah.
So,
Raj, what do
Yeah.
you have for us?
I really don't have a whole lot. The Lord's been blessing me. He blessed me when I had my stroke. He only took part of my sight away, so we was looking for.
Blind in one eye, can't see out of the other.
Yes, sir. No, just half blind. But
who said that?
no.
Was that a movie?
I believe it wasn't a movie, but I don't remember what movie.
But like when I was working at the hotel and I totaled our car,
Whoops.
Yeah, it was bad. But she says, "Well, I want a car like this, and this is what I'm going to pay, and this is how many miles I went on it." And I said, "Good luck." So we were blessed with a car that she wanted, with the payment she wanted, with the mileage she wanted, and I said, "Thank you, Lord."
Yeah.
Like I said, I was blessed this morning. Free cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It's not much, but hey, a blessing's a blessing.
Yep.
It doesn't make any difference how big or how small it is.
Yep.
If we look at it that way, that's what it is.
Yep.
I'm blessed.
I think a lot of it is us
Yeah,
changing our
if you give the
ways of
glory
looking
to
at
God
it.
for
Mhm.
whatever happens
Yeah,
in your
change our
life, I
attitude.
mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's a blessing.
Perspective.
yeah perspective.
Holly always says it's heart attitude.
Yeah.
It's heart attitude.
I mean, think about it. If something great happens to you, you're like, well, it's because I
Yeah.
Yeah.
this or I.
Yeah.
You know.
Guess
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Is it though?
Guess what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you will receive humbling in
Right.
that. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like the next time that you want that, it won't happen that way.
Right.
But
Right.
the Lord blesses me, for my age,
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, he lets him
I'm
carry furniture.
I'm
mow grass.
I'm still working 40 hours a week.
That's because
You know.
Michael's an inspiration.
No,
I get to be an inspiration
I-
too.
I do it because it's work for the Lord.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's one of the things I like when Alyssa and I were here with Roger, Holly, and Tina Newman last night for, I don't know, it wasn't a terribly long time, but we moved all of the furniture around. And then after that, we were able to just chat and just have like great fellowship. We weren't working. We weren't doing anything specific. We were able to just spend time together,
Yeah.
which is always nice.
Yep.
But I promise you this, when we come here, like that hallway out there is the cleanest it's been in a long time because we just had stuff piled up in it earlier today. We finally got it all cleaned out, but we're making progress in the building. That's going to make meaningful change in the future.
Yes.
Not necessarily
Not just in this church either.
yeah, and it's not always going to be like a lot of people come in, they go straight to the sanctuary, they sit down, they never see the rest of the building.
Right.
But having another kids classroom on the other end of the building is going to be a huge blessing,
yeah.
for
Oh,
the
yeah.
kids.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be a blessing for the teachers to be able to split ministry, the kids ministry. And, there's always sacrifice in that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's our time. Like Alyssa and I went from an office having our own bathroom to a closet on the other end of the building, like the furthest point of the building.
You have your own bathroom back there.
What, outside? Just
No,
go out the back
yeah,
door.
Yeah, I never thought about that. We'll get a porta potty.
There we go, just right out the back door. Yeah, but those are the types of things that when we started thinking about how do we get another classroom, we couldn't come up with a feasible solution. And I finally called her and I said, hey, listen, this is the plan. I think this is what we should do. And we went into that room and we're like, there's no way we can make this work. Like, there's no way we can fit in this space. And by golly, it fits perfectly. Everything in there is just absolutely as it should be. So,
It blew up.
Yeah, it expanded.
The Lord stretched it.
Yeah.
But the thing is we don't need a lot of office space to operate.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
our
You're not
desk.
in there every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to be able to give up space to make room for the
Yes.
children's ministry so that children's ministry can grow, that in and of itself is a blessing
Right.
for
Yeah.
the body. So
Oh yeah.
we get excited about seeing all of those things, but we have really been incredibly blessed just in this congregation to be able to do the things that we've done. So, yeah. Anybody else have any parting words of wisdom?
I just want to share this. One time, a whiles back, the Lord had been saying to me, Holly, I would like, he never says to me, this is what you're going to do. He'll say, this is what I'd like for you to do. Okay? So at that point in time, my plate was full and running over. I was so busy. And, it was like, step down from this, step back from that, lay that down. And I was just like, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it wasn't just one time. Like, I'd wake up in the morning. This is what you should do. This is what I want you to do. I think this is what you should do. Finally, this is what he says to me. You better hunker down. He says, because me and you're going out behind the woodshed. Now, I'm telling you, when God talks to you like that, you better pay attention.
Yeah.
And I started laying down, and I went on as a sabbatical for 3 months and did nothing. But when he said hunker down, I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. But in that was great blessings.
Yeah.
When I surrendered all to him, there was a great blessings.
This is blessing, maybe not blessing, but story that I think from pastoral end that I'm going to share. When Alyssa and I first started serving, we served, I think we were year 2, 2.5, like working into year 3, somewhere in that area. And I had been pretty much nonstop kind of the guy. Like I did all the tech. I did all of the social. I did everything. And like Dan Lumsick was in the sound booth on Sunday morning. But if something needed done outside of that, it was me. And there was really nobody else on the team. I mean, obviously Roger's always been by my side and we've always been doing stuff together, but
And people immediately went to you.
right.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what the situation was. And the example that I like to use is, hey, we're out of coffee or we're out of toilet paper in the bathroom or whatever. They came to me for that. So I said to my council, I said, I am taking the next 4 weeks off, and I gave them no heads up. And they did not like it. And my purpose was not to be malicious. It was to make them have to figure some of that stuff out. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing every single day. Every day, I'm the one that gets the phone call. I'm the one who has to do this. I'm the one who has to do that. That created some serious issues, that 4 weeks that I took off. Some of the things that happened, moving the coffee station, because they felt like that was important. No, what was important was figure out how you were going to have church.
Right.
And that, like, but none of that stuff, like, settled in.
Yeah.
Like, we were worried about the ancillary stuff, the small stuff. So when I came back, there was stuff that just, like, I just continued to do it. And finally, and this is the reason I'm telling the story, is finally I said, I'm not going to do it anymore. If the bathroom runs out of paper towels and somebody tells me, I'll say to somebody else, hey, the bathroom's out of paper towels. And if the paper towels never get replaced,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the only person responsible for making sure this building operates. I can't be.
Nope.
Right?
You shouldn't have to be.
Right.
Exactly.
And so now we're another year in, somewhere around there, because you were on council still at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were the one who lined up the speakers,
Yes.
like for those 4 weeks. So I look at it now and I think, if that were to be the case, and I don't even feel burnout the way that I did then.
Right.
Like, there's such a help. Now, don't get me wrong. I spent the entire day here today, not by anybody's choice but my own. But I was able to get all the grass mowed today. I can't string a weed eater. We learned that today.
He can't put gas in it either.
Yeah, apparently not.
He says it won't work. It won't start. It won't start. I checked the gas.
It's because it wasn't any in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ain't got no gas in it. Anyhow, so, but I do all of those. Like, I came here and spent the whole day to make sure podcasts happen and things like that. But that's not the norm anymore. Like usually a couple of hours a week that I'm in the building physically
You're
doing
not
something,
really forced
helping to mow the grass. But I also now have a council that is very receptive to suggestions, and they're the ones that come on board and say, hey, how can we help with that? Not just that, but having Holly handling the ladies groups pretty much exclusively at this point. I don't really have to help or have any hand in it. I come and help with tech whenever she has a large group that's coming in.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we have solid people that want to help. Now, that makes a difference in the life of a church.
Yes.
Because there's a renewing whenever you have people that want to work.
Right.
There are things that, like, I drove around the church today in a golf cart and picked up all the broken downspout that's laying against the side of the building for the past 5 years. Like, because I was out, so I just went ahead and did it. And then I'm looking at it like we should probably fix that at some point.
Well, I just got
probably
8.
a problem.
I just got 8 estimates. So
8?
8. Yes. Chase is like, well, I don't think you need that many. I'm like, well, you told me to get estimates, so,
So-
I'm getting estimates.
Well, I think we can probably solve these ones ourselves because it's just the elbows.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
Oh,
you
the
know,
downspouts?
yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
like we don't have gutters or downspouts at our house.
Yeah. We've got all the gutters are there. We just need to, and the downspouts are there, but we need to fix the elbows.
Yeah.
Because what happened is it was PVC and it's just gotten hard and brittle. Like it's just gotten real soft and brittle when you even touch it and it just caves in.
Yeah.
So-
And the worst part is there's 2 different sizes.
Yes.
So you've got to go around and count each
Yeah.
Oh.
one and get the right size.
yeah. So it's little things, but
Yeah.
what I've realized is that having the right people who want to come and serve, people who will pressure wash the building. I don't have time to do that. I'm not going to find time to do that. We just had Roger and Tina Newman just went and did a nursing home visit for me. Holly has been working with some of the ladies to get some additional visits. That's stuff that I don't always have time for, so
Yeah.
it's nice to have that help me. But sometimes it takes stepping back and just saying, hey, I'm not doing this for the next 4 weeks, next
Right.
6 weeks, 8
Right.
weeks, 12 weeks, whatever. Somebody's going to have to step up. And people think that that's somebody being selfish,
I was
or
gonna say that's
it's not.
the
That's
last thing.
That's not the intent. The
Yeah.
intent is that like somebody needs to understand what it takes.
Would
to,
you rather push me to my limit
Yes.
and then me be done completely?
Right.
You
And
know, and then
There's a statistic. I read it, but there are. It's a huge number of pastors that leave the church every year because they're burnt out, because
Yeah.
there aren't volunteers, there
see.
aren't people who want to help. We're fortunate because we have a medium-sized congregation, so we don't have to be here all the time. But
Right.
if we had to keep office hours, I couldn't be bivocational.
no.
The church couldn't
no.
afford to feed 5 kids, especially with Easton. Like, I promise you, you guys couldn't afford to feed that boy. So, like, I never have a problem sharing this, but I may be wrong on exactly what I make, but I think the church pays me about $24,000 a year. Break that down to the number of hours that I spend in the
Right.
building. I'm making well below minimum wage.
Yeah.
And I don't care about that.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
because I'm not doing it to get rich. We don't
Right.
pastor
No,
to
no,
get
no.
rich.
That's right. Yeah, that's
Because
true.
if we did, we would be in Joel Osteen's church, right? but we pastor because we love the people,
Yes.
we love the Lord, and we want to be able to bless our community. But that means that other people have to have that same desire and want to come alongside
Yeah.
to help do those
Right.
things. So
Absolutely.
okay, well we are an hour and 22 minutes in, so
Cool.
yeah, we made that one take a little longer. We digressed a couple of times. Hey, real quick, Nick, I think you got the reference. Ain't got no gas in it.
Oh yeah, Sling Blade.
Sling
man.
Blade, yeah, yeah. That's one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah. a lot of classic moments in that. one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of good quotable.
Yep. That's never mind. We're not gonna go there.
Yeah.
So-
Probably shouldn't.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
It's on Amazon Prime. Check
Yeah,
it out.
yeah. I was gonna say if you want to know what I'm talking about, just watch it on Amazon.
Or
Prime.
not.
My man Dwight Yoakam's in that.
You know
I
what?
just
It's-
love him in that.
But that was a bizarre pairing, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton
Yeah.
and Dwight
Well,
Yoakam.
they're good buddies.
Are they really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I didn't
Him
know
and Vince Vaughn.
Didn't know
They're
that.
good. Yeah. So.
Didn't know that.
Yep.
All right, Sid, will you pray for us tonight?
Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you for this time that we've had tonight in our new podcast room. I thank you for everyone being able to share the positive testimonies, negative testimonies, anything. Lord, I just pray that it, blessed someone and continues to bless them. Lord, I just hope that this, makes it to whoever's ears need to hear it. And just know that even like Nick said, you know, some of the tragedies can end up being blessings. I just pray for safe travels home and to be with us through the remainder of the week. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.